Dear students, welcome to this lecture. Today, our topic of deliberation is guild system during ancient India, emergence and growth. Before we discuss the main topic, let me briefly introduce you to the main objectives of this lecture. They are to know about the origin of the guild system during ancient India, to know about the growth and development of guilds, to know about the functioning of guilds, to know about various types of guilds, and finally, to know about the factors responsible for the decline of guilds. First, let us start with the introduction. Shirni, or what in modern times we call an association of artisans, merchants, or traders, existed even in the past. The traders and artisans involved in the trade or making of the specific products or goods would form their own organizations or what may be called as shirni. These business groups of traders and artisans following the same profession have played a very active role in the economic setup of the ancient India. The whole manufacturing segment and trade networks were restricted by these guilds. In English, they are known as mercantile guilds, and in Sanskrit and Pali, equivalents of this term are Shirni, Nigama, Gana, Samgaha, and Varta. They were not only confined to the economic functions, but were also involved in making acts of charity to religious institutions like Buddhist monasteries. The people living in the same area and engaged in the same profession naturally worked with one another to achieve common goals. The shirni of artisans or craftsmen existed for a particular group of people engaged in the same vocation. There is mention in various texts and the archaeological records that there were shirnis of the artisans like blacksmiths, goldsmiths, weavers, carpenters, bamboo craftsmen, cobblers, makers of ivory articles, metal workers, etc. The Shirni system not only worked for the betterment of its people, but also secure the right of the producers, transporters, and traders, thus offering them a freedom to produce without any interference from the state. Indian civilization, right from its inception, has contributed in various fields from religion to economy. Both the literary and archaeological material from the past provides a number of evidences. During the prehistoric period, there are a number of evidences regarding craft activities from different parts of the country. Right from the first urbanization, or what we call it the Indus Valley civilization, we have lot of evidences with regard to the development of art and craft. As we know that the Harappan civilization was urban in character. Most of the tools and weapons from the Harappa were simple in form. The tools mostly consist of flat axes, chisels, arrowheads, spearheads, knives, etc. People also made copper and bronze vessels. They made small plates and weights of lead and gold and silver jewelry of considerable sophistication. Cetatite was used for making a variety of objects like seals, beads, bracelets, buttons, vessels, etc. But its use in making fans, a form of glass, is particularly noteworthy. The gold objects found in the form of beads, pendants, amulets, brooches, and other small ornaments in the Harappan civilization. Mature Harappan pottery represents a blend of the ceramic tradition of the pre-Harappan culture of both west of the Indus region as well as of the Saraswati area. The pottery technology was quite advanced. Most of the pots were wheel made. More than 2,500 seals have been found. These are made of cetatite. They mostly depict a single animal, unicorn, bull, elephant, rhinoceros, etc. But some also depict trees, semi-human and human figurines, in some cases participating in a ceremony. Shell working was another flourishing industry. Artisans, settlements close to the sea manufactured shell ornaments like pendants, rings, bracelets, inlays, beads, etc. Besides, objects as bowls, ladles, and gamesmen. The evidences discussed not only speak about the presence of large number of crafts during the period, but at the same time provide an idea about some organization as well. The concept of unity as found from Harappa talks about the craft organization as well. However, in the absence of written evidences, it seems very difficult to get a clear idea about their functioning. Now, before we discuss about the growth and development of the guilds through different historical periods, it's very important to have some idea about the factors that were responsible for the growth and development of these guilds during ancient times. The tradition of investing money together for production purposes has been a very old practice in India. The factors mainly responsible for the growth and rise of guild system during ancient India are: number one, people who were involved in the same profession arranged themselves into organizations or guilds that gave them an upper edge at the ruler's court. Apart from their engagement in craft production, guilds provide a sense of security to the merchants who would go on very long and hazardous journeys where there was a high possibility of a mishap or an attack. Traveling within the guild gave them more safety and security. The formation of guilds could also be an outcome of the Varna ideology. People following the same occupation were bracketed in one Varna. Out of this occupation-based division of society, several subgroups of people got involved in similar kind of work may have organized themselves into guilds at a later stage. Craft production was generally limited to a specific area, and generally all craftsmen who were involved in it would live in that particular area only. This concentration of craftsmen in a particular area helped the younger one to learn the craft with more ease and comfort. This, in the long way, helped guilds in securing their own identity on the basis of their craft specialization and locality. As the society got divided into 4 Varnas during the later Vedic period, the people associated with particular professions got converted into a hereditary setup. The elder members of the family passed on their skill to the younger members. This created a number of craftsmen in the same family. There is every possibility to believe that the members of a family with specialization in a particular craft or trade could have formed their own guilds for more smooth operation of their business. The second urbanization in the Ganga Valley around the 6th to 4th century BCE was the outcome of an agrarian expansion and a surplus production. Since food was now easily available in comparison to earlier times, that enabled a large section of society to take up manufacturing and trading of goods as a full-time occupation. The introduction of iron not only helped in the growth of crops but at the same time increased the manufacturing of better quality goods. The rise of steels further bring out handicraft industries and trade, and the craftsmen and traders started organizing themselves into guilds for more efficient manufacturing and better exchange of goods. The emergence of 16 Mahajanapadas during the 6th century BCE provided a better political and economic stability to the country. A number of trade routes which cut across the states emerged, which helped in connecting cities and market towns across the Indian subcontinent. All this enabled the traders and manufacturers became aware about the sources of raw material as well as the kind of products which were in demand in local as well as distant markets. This increase in demand for quality goods required highly skilled craftsmen which could be provided only by the guilds. Now, let me discuss about the growth and development of guilds through the different historical periods. The archaeological and textual evidences from the past made it clear that the guilds are organizations known as Shirni or Nigama operate like the present day Chamber of Commerce or trade manufacturers associations or organizations. The guilds played an important role in the manufacturing of various goods and articles. Besides, they were actively involved and sometimes mainly responsible in the conduct of internal and foreign trade as well. The guilds or nigamas, because of their economic role, were allowed to issue their own coins as well. A number of such coins had been discovered from various parts of the country, right from the Gandhara in the north to South India. Scholars put different views regarding the presence of guild system during the early Vedic period. Some scholars are of the opinion that the Vedic society was sufficiently advanced to guarantee the substance of economic organizations and take the literary expressions from the Vedas like Shirni, Puga, Gana, Varta as indicative of guild organization and consider Shresthi as the president of a guild. While other group of scholars consider early Vedic society essentially as rural with nomadism being dominant and are of the opinion that the Aryans during this time were mostly occupied with wars, as a result of which could not produce surplus food grains that was vital for the development of crafts and trade. To them, the terms like Shirini and Puga in Vedic literature does not denote guild, nor Shresthi can be taken as a guild president. However, the developments of the later Vedic period, like shift to agriculture, division of labor, institution of Varna, paved a way that was conducive for the emergence of craft and trade and thereby for the emergence of guild organization. The institution of Varna not only divided the society on social lines but also facilitated the division of labor as well. The professions like agriculture, cattle farming, and trade were assigned to the Vaishyas, who in due course of time developed themselves as separate groups. The Shudras, besides being in the service of the upper three Varnas, took up such menial jobs, crafts which were looked down upon by the people of higher Varnas, come to form separate economic groups, and some of them later got converted into the guilds as well. The emergence of large kingdoms and chiefdoms from the 6th century BCE facilitated into the interlinking of far-flung areas, and this must also have facilitated procurement of raw materials, sale of finished goods in the distant areas. The pooling of resources and management skills could be achieved better by the traders and craftsmen if they could organize themselves into the guilds. The growth of towns and cities during the second urbanization period provided better opportunities to artisans to migrate to these cities for better life. The use of iron also became widespread during this period. The iron tools and implements had been more effective in clearing the forests. As a result of this, we see an agrarian expansion with a surplus production. This surplus enabled a large section of the society to give up their primary role and took up craft and trade. The introduction of writing during the same period helped in the codification of laws and in keeping accounts, which gave a further boost to the new economy. The emergence of money economy in about the same age gave a fillip to the growth of trade and industry, making it more mobile in character. All these factors were favorable to the growth and development of guilds. The emergence of new religious ideologies during this period in the form of Buddhism and Jainism with an egalitarian outlook than Brahmanism provided a conducive environment for the growth of guilds. The policy of non-violence advocated by these ideologies helped in saving the material wealth and animals, which gave a further impetus to trade and commerce. From the literature, it becomes clear that the guilds had increased in influence during this period. The Gautama Dharma Sutra, a text of 5th century BCE, states that various groups like cultivators, traders, herdsmen, moneylenders, and artisans had become so powerful that they have authority to lay down rules for their respective classes, and the state was directed to consult their representatives while framing policies pertaining to them. The Jataka stories mention 18 guilds during the period. In order to have some control or to supervise the activities of the guilds, the state seems to have appointed an official known as Bandagarika, who was provided judgeship over all the guilds. The Jataka stories, besides discussing about the role of guilds in the organization of internal trade, also contain references of foreign trade as well with the countries like Sri Lanka, etc. With the emergence of the Mauryas on the political map of India, we not only witnessed a pan-Indian empire, but there was an overall development in all walks of life. The period witnessed better maintained roads and highways, which increased the mobility of men and merchandise. The state took an active role and participated in agricultural and industrial production. The evidence from the Indica about various committees during the period talks about a better effective control by the government on the functioning of the guilds. The state took various initiatives for the betterment of these guilds. It allotted guilds separate localities in the towns and urban areas for running their trade and crafts. The members of the tribal republics who lost political power due to the expansionist policy of the Mauryas and were incorporated into the empire also took up crafts and trade and formed economic organizations or guilds. Kautilya, the lawgiver of the period, considers the possibility of guilds as agencies capable of becoming centers of power. Romila Thapar, the well known authority on ancient India, informs us that the ancient sources frequently refer to the system of guilds which began in the early Buddhist period and continued through the Mauryan period. Topography aided their development in as much as particular areas of a city were generally inhabited by all tradesmen of a certain craft. Tradesmen's villages were also known where one particular craft manufacturing was centered, largely due to the easy availability of raw material. The next phase in the growth and development of guilds may be taken from 200 BC and 300 AD. The decline of the Mauryan Empire not only paved a way towards decentralization and fragmentation of political authority, but also resulted into laxity in state control over guilds, allowing them better chance to grow. The epigraphic evidences from Sanchi, Bharat, Bodh Gaya, Mathura, and other sites of western Deccan refers to donations by the guilds may be taken as a evidence about the economic prosperity of the guilds as well as the people associated with them. The frequent mention of guilds of floor makers, weavers, oil millers, potters, corn dealers, bamboo workers, etc., speak about their importance during the period. The period also witnessed the elucidation of the seasonality and seasonal changes in the wind direction of the southwest monsoon winds, leading to close commercial contact with the Roman Empire, which in turn gave huge profit to the Indian merchants. During the course of excavations in different parts of the country, a large number of coins had been discovered. Such coins indicate progress in money economy, which was vital for the development of trade and industry. From the evidences of the Manu Simriti and the Yajna Valkya Simriti, it seems that there was an increase in the authority of guilds in comparison to the earlier periods. The epigraphic evidences from the period frequently refers to the acts of charity and piety by these guilds and also speak about their role and function like the present day banks. There is evidence to show that large merchant guilds had some control over the small craft guilds. The post Mauryan period, as discussed, saw a solid rise in the guild system in Indian economic scenario. The importance of guilds increased to the extent that they started functioning as a state within the state. And it was in fact because of this reason that we see guilds issuing their coins at their own, having their own laws, and they were given lot of freedom by the state. The reason behind was the economic role that they play in the development of the country. There were several factors responsible for such a growth of guilds during this period. To get a clear idea on it, it is relevant to quote S. Mahapatra here, and I quote, "In this period, northwestern and western part of India, controlled by the Indo-Greeks, Sakas, Kushanas, and Parthians, the Mauryan Empire disintegrated into a number of kingdoms and tribal republics. This led to the breaking of state control over administration and economy, and the guilds assumed more power and influence that developed the close commercial contact with the Roman Empire. The discovery of the northeastern monsoon, ascribed to the Hippolus in 46 AD, gave impetus to mid-sea journey, reducing the time of journey, minimizing the danger of piracy, and also obviating the need of the service of middlemen in Indo-Roman trade. Then Indian mercantile activity also extended to Central Asia and China. India was the main exporter of the luxury items to the Roman Empire and earned huge profits. A large number of coins of this period, those of the Indo-Greeks, Sakas, Parthians, Kushans, indigenous rulers, and tribal republics, cities, and guilds have been found. Some in hordes. It indicates a greater circulation of money economy and purely advancement of trade and commerce, in which guilds must have played a significant role. Unquote. Melinda Pano refers to a number of occupational guilds, their number being much greater than the earlier period. The Gupta period too saw the importance of guilds, whether merchant or craft, but it seems that the authority to issue coins was withdrawn from them by the state. There is hardly any evidence of coins being issued by the guilds during this period. Moreover, functions like banking activities, accepting deposits, and advancing loans of the guilds was gradually shifted towards selected temples. Though the artisans and merchants, along with farmers, were prosperous in this period as well, but the foundation of the guilds started weakening. The period witnessed an increase in the number of land grants. There was a shift from two-tier economy to single-tier economy. The period also witnessed a progressive decline in the foreign trade as well. The foreign trade which India at one time enjoys with the Roman Empire start declining, and there were several reasons, one being the division of the Roman Empire and the other one the Hun invasion. So all these factors may be held responsible for the decline of guilds during the period. Post-Gupta era saw the rise of feudal lords and various independent powers, thereby disturbing the political stability that India had enjoyed even under post-Mauryan rulers and the imperial Guptas. Constant internal conflicts between regional rulers made it difficult for the traders to smoothly conduct the trade. Later, we find series of invasions in northwest India from the Muslims, causing further political instability and disturbance in trade and commerce. The outcome of such political instability was that it must have shaken the people's confidence in these institutions. In a way, Samantas or feudal lords gradually became more dominant for the need of the time to fight out aggression. It diminished the earlier social status of the guilds and their economy. Also, the taxation structure was changed, putting a heavy burden on the craftsmen, merchants, and so on the guilds. The economic affairs got localized on account of the land grants. All these factors paved the way for the decline of this powerful institution that has contributed in almost all the walks of life during ancient India. So, dear students, it was all about today's lecture regarding guild system during ancient India. Hope you have understood it well. Thank you